Welcome back to ITE 1932 Technical Writing. This is the second lecture in the series. I'm Mr. Silva, and here we will continue the introduction to the basics in technical writing. This is the color coding that we will be using for this lecture and all the subsequent lectures. Please pause here for a bit and remember this color coding. Today we will be looking at a technique named BODIR or BODIR. You can pronounce it the way that is easiest for you to remember. As long as you remember, that's all that matters. BODIR or BODIR is a guideline for planning and writing in response to a question or topic. So it may be a question that has been posed to you in an exam, or it is a topic of a novel that you are writing. BODIR works for both of these ideas. Now, BODIR sounds like a sequence of letters with no connection between them whatsoever. So, let's try to guess what words these letters stand for. BODIR. BODIR. Please pause here if you want to keep guessing. B stands for brainstorm. It sounds like a storm in a horror movie, but it is not. We shall talk about it soon. O stands for organize. Now, you may think organize should go higher all over in the list, but you will see when we discuss that organize is at its perfect place. D stands for draft. It is always easier to work on something once you have words on paper. It is a nice thing to have things in your mind, but it is always better to have some sort of a draft. And it gives you a sense of accomplishment as well, and some relief, as if the work is half done already. The fourth step is improve. To make something that is good, better, and best. And the fifth is refine. To make it polished. To include clarity. To develop it. To lift it. Improve the productivity. Now, go with me. Read with me. Brainstorm, organize, draft, improve, refine. Brainstorm, organize, draft, improve, refine. Remember this mantra, it will come in handy. Now, let's look at brainstorm. The idea of a brainstorm is to make sure that you understand everything that is being asked in a question or a topic. You are to note down or sketch all the relevant ideas and points that come to your mind. Well, do not note down irrelevant points. Now, at this point, it is important that you do not stress on this too much. It is okay to write down things that might become irrelevant later. Just write it down, and then you can erase it or strike through. Don't worry. This list is only for you. No one else sees it. So, all you need to make sure is that when you move from the stage brainstorm to the next stage, the organize stage, irrelevant points are not there. Okay? So, you can write down what you like and then get rid of irrelevant points. You do not need to organize or write sentences in full, but just make sure that you are addressing everything that is being asked. Sometimes, if you miss something here, and you wrote about 3/4 of the essay and remember something, that is a very painful experience to go and write it all over again. Right? So that is what we are trying to avoid with brainstorm. So when we brainstorm, we make sure that everything, all the important points are in hand before you even write the first sentence. So spend about 5 minutes depending on the available time. If you only have 5 minutes to write the entire thing, don't spend 5 minutes brainstorming. But if you have about half an hour, it is a good idea to take 5 minutes to brainstorm. And if you are writing a novel, maybe take a few days. Now, not everyone likes to organize their thoughts in a list. Some people like a more organic approach. So for those people, I'll give another way to brainstorm. But do not think that these are the only two ways to brainstorm. There are many, many ways. If you go into the internet and look up brainstorming techniques, you can learn more. I am only giving these two examples and these two ways as a starting point for people who are unfamiliar with the concept. Okay. So the second way to do brainstorming is a mind map. You start with the central concept. Let's say in this case, the life and the works of Leonardo da Vinci. And then write the most important points of this concept, and then organically expand, branch it out like a tree. Each idea becomes a tree by itself. Let's move on to the next idea. Organize. There are main ideas in organize. There are two main ideas, in fact. The thesis sentence and the topic sentence. The thesis sentence is a sentence that defines what the whole essay is about. It's the soul of your writing. It is the center point. You may have the thesis sentence in the beginning of your essay or the end, or both. It can be in the introduction or the conclusion. Again, or both. You can start with the thesis sentence and explain why it is so, and at the end say, therefore, thesis sentence. That is sort of fun. Now, topic sentence, in fact, it should be topic sentences because they appear in every paragraph. It explains what the paragraph is about. You start with the topic sentence, which gives you an idea, which gives the reader an idea what this paragraph is about. A good example of the thesis sentence is the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. It says, we the people, States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. It's a mouthful, but it gives you the idea. It gives you the soul of the union that they're making, what the Constitution is based on. That is the idea of a thesis sentence. Now, by the way, if any of you are wondering where is the line life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, it is in the Declaration of Independence, which is equally a valid example. Now, a topic sentence gives an idea of what a paragraph is about. Now, these topic sentences usually come in the beginning of a paragraph, and therefore they also come in the beginning of a section. So the first sentence of a section is rather a gray area between the topic sentence and the thesis sentence, but you're intelligent enough to figure out how to manage that. Now, pause here and read the sentence about the tabletop RPG game Dungeons and Dragons. Read the whole paragraph and see how the topic sentence gives you the idea of the game. Now, The idea of organizing is given the available time and space to identify the points from your brainstorm. Include. Remember, we tried so hard to not include pointless points, but we are human, and it is very human for things to slip through our fingers. That is okay. So at this point, we drop them. Create a thesis sentence that encapsulates what you want to convey, what captures the soul of your writing. Group or unify other points under the various topic sentences. So these would be the seeds of which you would expand on to create paragraphs. Put everything in a nice order. Sort them in a logical flow, how ideas can build on top of one another to make sure or to guide the reader to the same conclusions that you as the writer has come to. This is very important, especially if you had the mind map, because a mind map is a map and not a list of ideas. So here you do need to convert it to a list of ideas which has a logical flow. So this step is very important for people who have used that method. Spare at least 10 minutes depending on the available time. Again, this is supposed to be twice the time that you have spent brainstorming, so it's totally up to you depending on the time that you have on your hands. Now, look at this essay written by a student. Pause the video here and see how easy it is to recognize the thesis and the topic sentences. So see, this is the thesis sentence. It encapsulates the entire idea. And these are the topic sentences. Now let's move on to drafting. This is an example of an exaggeration of writing a draft, so don't worry about that. But it shows how important the draft is and how a draft is never the final version. So I put it here to stop you from stressing. Some people stress about writing a draft and making it perfect. If it is perfect, it is not a draft. So don't worry too much. All you need to do is to get the words on paper, and then you will refine it in subsequent lines. So don't stress too much about the draft. Write it down as you think and as you please, then we will improve. Write following the organizational plan, but without worrying about grammar, spelling, or punctuation. Have an idea of the number of verses. If it is for a 150 word composition, make sure that you are in the ballpark of 120 or 180 words. That is all that you have to worry about when you are having a draft. Next, improve. You copy paste the draft version and do a word count. See, you have to delete or add more words, and you do so as needed. If you need to add more words, be more descriptive of the things that you just mentioned. If you need to delete words, get rid of the fluff, get rid of repetitions, get rid of tangents that you might have gone on. At this point, correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Now tell me, what is missing in that sentence? It is missing the Oxford comma. So if I am to improve this slide, I will add the Oxford comma. Improve the vocabulary or the way something is said and logic. So if you improve that sentence, you would say improve the vocabulary or the way something is said, and also improve logic. See, the sentence that I just said is easier to understand than what I've written on the slide. That was intentional. Try to reach the expected word count. It is better at this point by the means of increasing or deleting words to reach the expected word. So this can come from either way. You might be coming from below, trying to add more words, or coming from above, trying to summarize and remove words. All that matters is that you arrive at the expected word count. Fine. Copy paste the improved version. Modify to get the exact numbers. If you were unable in the previous one, as we mentioned earlier, there is a overlap in refine and improve. Now, modifications should be checked using the improve method. Read down and check the flow of your ideas and argument. And further refine the introduction, thesis sentence, and the topic sentence. Also the conclusion. Again, try to get the exact word count. At this point, you see that you can do the improve and refine iteratively until you are satisfied of the output. Now, let's do an activity on BODIR technique. Write a descriptive essay about your neighborhood, the place that you live in, the place that is around the place that you are living in, your neighbors, your road, the village, so in exactly 150 words. Include the descriptions that relate to all 5 senses. It's just a title. But for this particular writing assignment, include taste, sight, touch, smell, and sound that comes to your mind when you are writing about your neighborhood. It is not a compulsory thing to have all 5 senses when you're writing about anything. But for this particular assignment, please do include all of these 5 senses. Remember, BODIR. Once you are done, submit the Word document saved under your student ID with initials in the link provided on Moodle. Now, as a passing thought, here is how you write to the future according to Carl Sagan, the great scientist. And the thought that you are to leave today with is writing is perhaps the greatest of human inventions, which is used to communicate through ages, even beyond the great barrier of death and time.